call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with justice for all.
Mr. Daigle?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, this is a public hearing.
Right. Okay, just the guidelines here on, any speakers, just state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes to speak and respect the conduct. So with that, public hearing, yeah.
On the proposed amendments to the class plan.
Okay. Open the floor, okay. Comments from the public, as this is on the plan. You need, that's no amendment on that, huh?
What's that?
Any
Yeah,
comments
okay.
from the public?
That's not, okay.
I'll say, before you get started, I was gonna get up and, propose a couple of things here. See if I can find out.
Well, we don't have any public comments, go ahead and let's,
Well, I'm gonna give you some comments that this doesn't really even do it. So as you know, members of the board, the state examiner's office Adrian Morgan sent a letter in regarding the proposed changes to the class exam. Okay? She didn't comment one way or another on the abolition of the fire chief position. She just kind of left that off the table. I think her feeling is that legally it's permissible and it's just a policy question that y'all have to address. And Parish President Jason Manola has made you clear and sent his letter in about why he thinks it should be done when the amendments were first posted. So I don't think that's changed at all as it is. Okay, so but there were some other amendments that we were proposing to the class plan. First, the fire captain, and she had a problem with there was a provision in the proposed amendment that allowed the state basically you had to wait 36 months before you could test again for a position if you were demoted or I think it was just demoted, but may also apply for working test rejection. So she didn't like that, and I talked to her at length about it, and so I was proposing what we'll do, what you may want to do. I'm proposing, we have it in front of you, that we, for the fire captain classification, that we make the amendment so that you need 5 years of total experience in the position. And only the 2 years immediately prior to the closing for the application of the test, there should be continuous and uninterrupted service in the position of firefighter, okay? And that'll leave you with, the problem you won't solve is if someone gets demoted or working test gets rejected. I mean, you don't want, we call it percolates like a percolator. I mean, it goes back down and it comes right back up. And so if you put this 2 years continuous and uninterrupted service immediately preceding the closing for the application, what happens is if someone is either demoted or they had a working test period rejected, then they have to have 2 years in that position of fireman before they can come back and test again, and then they'll get back on the eligibility list for captain. Of course, presumably, because they were already in a captain's position, either by probation or permanent, they were demoted. When they get eligible, they're going to go to the top of the list most likely, because that's probably their seniority position. Okay, so, but this will at least prevent someone from going down and then coming right back up, because that kind of defeats the purpose. And so, this will give, this will give a little bit more teeth to the working test requirement and to, you know, any demotion. And originally, as proposed, the 36 months wait time to take the new test, the appointing authority, if they were to demote somebody, can put that as part of the discipline, that they have to wait that long. So it's not precluding it, it's gonna leave it in the hands of whoever meets out the discipline here. And they can decide to do that if they want to. But from your perspective as a board, that will, the 2 years of, continuous and uninterrupted service immediately preceding the, closing for the application, and it's the same thing for the deputy fire chief, will, you know, solve the problem, the percolation problem, you know. And, I also submitted, another proposed change to address the working test period issue, because I don't know that it's a problem here. I've seen it other places where you have someone that goes up and gets rejected in a working test period, say in the position of captain or in the position of deputy chief. They get rejected multiple times, and at some point, you know, it feels like, well, this person keeps coming back and keeps failing, and they're not cutting the mustard. And, so I was proposing if you got rejected 3 times for the, 3 working tests in the captain's position, or 2 in the deputy chief position, you couldn't take the test again. She's against that, okay, because, the state examiner's office views that as a forever bar, you know, to being able to come back and test. And, I think the state examiner's office also thinks that opens the door for favoritism, in the sense that, you know, if you had a chief, and I'm not saying you have one now, but, you know, if for some reason the chief didn't like somebody, or wanted someone else on the list to get that position, they could fail their working test period enough times, and then that person would never be able to come back up, okay? So, she's against that, and she also believes that the other provision that we first talked about, continuous and uninterrupted service, will solve that issue, at least for a while, because when you working test rejected, you won't just come right back up. So, that's their position, and, you know, I understand it. She certainly has a point, and I don't know what the board's pleasure on that one is. She was okay with the 2-year continuous and uninterrupted service requirement. It's the next one, the failure of the working test, that would forever bar somebody that she is opposed to. And you know, she did tell me that if the board adopts that, she's of course gonna write me a letter saying she's objects to it, here's why, and it's gonna be, you know, for the same reasons I just told you. So what you might wanna do is just table that one for now, and let's go with the continuous and uninterrupted, since nobody, at least the state examiner's office, doesn't have an objection to that. And I will tell you that I do this type of work all around the state, and that's a fairly typical provision, okay? That a lot of places have that to prevent the percolation problem. So, you know, I think that's probably something you want to consider, in connection with both of these. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I wanted to make sure, make it clear, because I did tell the state examiner's office that, you know, since she didn't write a letter yet about that I would at least relate to you, you know, accurately what her position was on it, and that's my great limit. I think I've done that, so, you know, anyway, that's all I have to say about it.
So we go to item 7.
Let's see, what we can do is, if there's no public comments on any of these, then what you would do is Mr. Chair, you would adjourn the public hearing portion of this, meeting. Then you would open, convene the meeting part of it.
Okay.
And at that point, you go through the agenda, you ask for public comments again at item number 4 of the, meeting agenda. And if there's no public comments, then you would want to consider what you want to do with the next one.
Yeah, this is that's the new, item 7 is, everybody got your comments on change to the fire chief classification? This is still public. No comments? Close the public hearing. And we'll go into the, public meeting. Open the public meeting.
I would recommend that you dispense with items 1 through 3. I'm going to get into the public hearing already, but you may need a motion to do that, so.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say let's spend, spend 1, 2, 3, yeah, I'll give a motion. Second motion from Mr. Cliff. Do we have any comments from the public on anything that's listed on the agenda? Item 5 is review and consider approving the minutes from the board's meeting on November 17th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the board meeting that was held on November 17th.
Motion passes.
Item 6 is change to the fire captain classification. Consider adoption of proposed changes to the fire captain classification.
Motion.
And again, I would recommend that the only change you should adopt is, and I'll read it so that there's.
Yes.
Okay, so to fire captain classification, it would read, must be a regular permanent employee in the class of firefighter operator with at least 5 years of total service with the West Baton Rouge Fire Protection District Number 1, must have at least 2 continuous and uninterrupted years of service in the permanent class of firefighter operator immediately preceding closing date for application to the board.
That's pretty much the criteria for, on that particular position, right?
Yeah, this would be the fire captain.
Fire captain, okay.
I mean, there's some other requirements, but those are the,
Right.
that
was the one.
yeah, those are the ones that would amend the language.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proposed changes for item number 6 for changes to the fire captain classification.
And Mr. Daigle, I assume that means we're gonna table this, the last one about having the rejected, was that lesson 3 rejected working, tests?
Yes.
Item 7, change to the deputy fire chief classification. Consider adoption of the proposed changes to the deputy fire chief.
And, you know, in response to the state examiner's comments, as we did on the last one, as it currently reads, it says must be a regular and permanent employee in the class of fire captain with at least 2 years of service in the class immediately preceding closing date for the application to the board, must wait 18 months before testing in class of deputy fire chief if rejected from working test period for any reason. And those 2 would be substituted with the following: must be a regular and permanent employee in the class of fire captain with at least 2 years of continuous and uninterrupted service with West Baton Rouge Fire District Number 1 in that permanent position, immediately preceding closing date for the application to the board. And the other one, the other part about the rejected working test, I would recommend you take that part out.
It, Mr. Love? Make the motion, second that?
Yeah.
We're figuring out what.
Motion passes.
Item A.